Hello, good evening to you all. Yes, it's live boxing from London's Alexandra Palace. The explosive skills of Britain's Nigel Benn, the former world middleweight champion. They're all on show tonight. He's facing the Canadian Dan Sherry. Sherry, of course, on the receiving end of that Chris Eubank headbutt in their controversial world title fight in Brighton last year. With me in the studio is Barry McGuigan. Now, Barry, I had a chat to Chris Eubank a couple of weeks ago, and he was absolutely sure that Dan Sherry would be too much for Nigel Benn tonight. What do you think about that?
I'd be surprised if he is. I think Nigel has shown in his recent fights that he has somewhat curbed that fiery, explosive, aggressive style that he had, but yet he's still got the power. He's boxing better, and I would favour him strongly tonight. I think that Sherry will suit him, and he'll win the fight, and I think he'll win it inside the 10-round distance.
Do you really? Do you think it'll be a good test, though, for him?
It'll be a great test for him. It'll be an excellent fight.
OK, Barry, thanks very much indeed. Well, of course, on the night when the older sounds of Swing Low, Sweet Chariot have been echoing round Wembley, a night of international football friendlies, we've got highlights from the Republic of Ireland against Wales in Dublin. But we're going to lead off with our boxing, of course, that important fight for Nigel Benn if he's going to re-establish his position as a definite world title challenger. The aim, a return with Chris Eubank. Nigel Benn's form early in his career was quite devastating. 8 first-round knockouts in his first 12 fights, 4 of them within a minute. The Commonwealth title soon followed, but hopes of a world title faded with defeat dramatically by Michael Watson.
Oh, he's gone. So, the big hitter has been hit.
A spell in America revived his fortunes. Benn became a world champion in superb style against Doug DeWitt.
Yes, that's it. It's all over. Third knockdown, and in the 8th round, Nigel Benn has won the WBO middleweight championship of the world.
He followed that with an emphatic first-round demolition of Iran Barkley in his first offence. Then Chris Eubank took his world title after another thriller in Birmingham. Since then, he's had 4 wins, but above all, Nigel Benn wants Eubank again. He's got to look impressive tonight.
And it's all over in the 9th round.
We're going into this fight. It means a lot to me. It puts me back in shot for a world title. Not just with Eubank, with the other WBC, WBA. So it's a big fight for me, big step.
Dan Sherry is a huge outsider with the bookies, but he's been promised another head-to-head with Eubank if he upsets the odds. The 25-year-old Canadian certainly isn't overawed by Nigel Benn.
This is a chance for me to kill 2 birds, 1 stone. First, I'm going to get Nigel Benn. I've studied hard. I've done all my homework. I'm ready for him. He's in for a big surprise. Big puncher. Hey, that doesn't scare me. I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. Eubank's next.
Well, Dan Sherry has left his dressing room. He's in the ring and all set to go. They're all set there for the entrance of Nigel Benn. Let's go ringside and join your commentators, the old firm. Jim Watt, and first of all, let's say good evening to Reg Guttridge.
Well, hello then, and we're just waiting for the entrance then of Nigel Benn. They've had the Big Ben chimes, and I must say he's very confident indeed, without being as bold as he was in his early days, Nigel Benn. And you get the feeling that when things hot up, well, the dominant force is usually the calm assurance, and that's definitely what this fella's had. Bit of a new image. He's a little needled with Dan Sherry, and I can understand it because I was actually at that press conference, and it had nothing to do with promoters asking him to fight at all. Sherry just leaned over and rather quietly exchanged of words, and certainly Benn was not amused at all, but he didn't react too much, and eventually he got up and said, "I'm leaving, I think I've had enough." Nothing to worry about in the weights. They're still really middleweights. 11 stone 9 Benn and 2 ounces. 11 stone 8 Dan Sherry. Superweight division really. They made the match at 11 stone 10 pounds, so they're sort of a catch weight really between. From Ontario, Canada, Sherry. Doesn't carry a championship tag, but well, they're all important at this level. And there's another little touch. He's got a different lining there. He's got his cycling shorts on there, doesn't he, Nigel Benn? Very confident fellow indeed, this fellow. And there's the rundown of Dan Sherry. Only those two decisions, and that was the last one for the Canadian Championship with the unbeaten Otis Grant, the southpaw, and he retired in the 7th round there with a bit of eye trouble, apparently.
Ladies and gentlemen, promoted by Matchroom and sponsored by the Daily Mirror and the Sunday Mirror, we are proud to present the main attraction of the evening, an international super middleweight contest at 11 stone 10 pounds, over 10 rounds, each of 3 minutes duration. Your referee for the contest is Larry O'Connell of Hartley, your timekeeper Tommy Rice of Sutton, and your British Boxing Board of Control steward in charge, John Handler. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting and introducing to you in the red corner with the red and white shorts from Ontario with 18 wins from 20 contests, the former middleweight champion of Canada, Dan Sherry!
Well, mixed reception, I think we can call that.
And ladies and gentlemen, his opponent in the blue corner with the black and white shorts from Ilford with 31 wins from 33 contests, the former middleweight champion of the world, Nigel Benn!
Well, that really, he can set him alight, this fella. He captures the public imagination because he can punch, and the paying customers like that, don't they? Never know what's going to happen when Ben's around.
11 stone, 9 pounds, 2 ounces. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
So referee then Larry O'Connell. There are no judges, remember, for this one, so well, we won't get the confusions that we've had in recent fights, including Dan Sherry and the Eubank, of course. And Jim White and I thought that once, well, that back header had happened, we thought Sherry was ahead on points, but we were outvoted on a split decision, and Eubank retained the championship. So there it is then, 10 scheduled. Well, Sherry might have tried to weigh up Ben, but Ben hasn't bothered to look at the video, he told me, of the Eubank-Sherry fight. Said, I'll just take it as it comes.
Well, Ben's landed the very first punch that he's thrown, a little shot right, and Sherry came right off the stool, right onto it. Didn't have the full power, luckily for Sherry, but Sherry looks a little bit reckless at the beginning here. He's charging into Ben. A little bit reckless against a puncher like Ben.
It's going to be a bit untidy, a bit needly. They might settle down in a round or two, Jim, if it goes that long.
Yeah, well, I expected the opposite from Sherry. I thought he would have started circling around the ropes. But maybe he feels the closer he is to Ben, the safer he's going to be. We've got to say he started positively anyway.
It takes a bit of guts to get inside Ben's punches, but they can be less troublesome. It's when you pull away from Ben, he catches you, wings you with a punch, a long punch. Good shot, he throws the right hand there.
Certainly is the style to give Ben problems. He's difficult, he's awkward, he frustrates opponents. But I don't think he does anything well enough to trouble Ben seriously. I think once Ben warms up and gets a little bit of rhythm into his punching, I think he's going to see this man off.
Well, no sitting on the fence there with you, Jim. O'Connell will get this well under control. Remember, the referee didn't really get the Sherry Eubank fight under control. And a lot of people thought he was acting. It looked that way when he went down, Sherry, but in fact, he was in trouble, and his eyes dilated and everything, and he really was in trouble. He was swallowing his own blood.
I think this is the calmest opening round we've seen from Ben in a long time.
Yeah, I think it's Graham Mountain, his new trainer, knows the game. He's a real skillful Alexandra, who fought Sugar Ray Leonard as an amateur. And of course, Sherry was with the Sugar Ray Leonard camp, but he still is to a degree, but not with the great Sugar himself. He's got his trainer in the corner, though, Pepe Correa. Well, there's no taunting from Sherry, as he did before. And he was very upset when he was accused of actual racial taunting. He said, that's the last thing I did with you, Mank, and I deny that vehemently. well. All pals together. They weren't exactly like a couple of old gentlemen in the gymnasium in that opening round, Jim, but they just did a little armistice with a touch of gloves there at the end. I don't think that's going to keep up.
Well, it seems at least it shows a change in attitude in Sherry. I mean, before he seemed to spend all his time trying to annoy Eubank, but he seems to be a different fellow tonight.
They brought in a London assistant there, Arthur Arry, without an H. And that's Pepe Correa, who actually worked with Sugar Ray Leonard when he was 14 years old. Right above us there, Sherry. I hope he's accurate with that gargling. And that's Graham Mountain, as I said one time, London milkman, publican, and a very good teacher in the Matchroom Gymnasium at Romford. He's self-managed, actually, Ben, now, but under the promotional Barry Hearn banner. So out for the second round then. Did you hear what the referee said then, Jim, as they came together? I missed that.
I'm not sure if he was telling him to tidy it up. I can't think of any other complaint he might have. It was a slightly untidy first round.
Yeah, he used the word inside, so that's probably... yes, keep it clean inside. I think I read the lips there.
I think Nigel wants to get his punches off just a little bit quicker from now on. You know, he had a nice long look at Sherry in the opening round. He wants to get the punches off a little bit sharper, because if he allows Sherry to get as close as he is now, he's just going to spoil things all night long. That's probably the reason he's here, just to stop Ben from working.
It's good to see Ben doing a bit of boxing. Remember, he was an ABA champion.
We have called for Ben to do a bit more boxing, but not necessarily against a boxer, and that's what Sherry is. I think he wants to keep this man under pressure, force him into making some mistakes, show a feint, draw some leads, but just try not to allow him to get too close.
Oh, it was a good shot there for a left-hand uppercut, almost a hook, and then he changed it to an uppercut. Only lost 2 decisions, remember, Sherry, of 20, and that was, of course, to Eubank and Otis Grant.
Well, again, Ben's got the right hand bang onto the target, not full power again, but he's getting the right hand home.
Midway through the second round.
Sherry starting his tricks again, you know, like Ben, because when he's leaning on the back of his neck, turning around, ending up behind him.
I like the way Ben just grinned at it there, Jim. He said, don't worry about that, if that's the best you can do, you're not going to bother me.
See, Sherry knows all the tricks. When he misses with a punch, he just lays the arms onto Ben and pushes him so that he can't come back with the counter punch. There he goes behind Ben again. He knows all the little tricks, all the frustrating stuff. Ben's going to find it difficult to pin him down in the first few rounds.
He's got to keep himself a bit calm though, Ben, isn't he? As you say, throw the punches, but not actually, well, you daren't lose your temper in the ring, you get nailed easily that way. But the flailing Ben, well, that's out now. He is trying to pick punches all the time. Well, referee gave him plenty of chance to fight inside there, and then had to call break when it started to get untidy again. So coming up the end of the second. And lots of cheers there, I must say, in Sherry's corner. Landed a right-hander right on the bell, and the American trainer Pepe Correa, there he is there in the ring, really enjoyed that, and he had plenty to say too before the fight, and well, it just riled the Ben camp a bit. Had 2 fights, as I said, since he fought Eubank last February in Brighton. Defeated Gary Mackerson for the Canadian Championship. That was over 12 rounds on points, and then lost to Otis Grant to retire. He retired in 7. The referee just visited the corner there, obviously asking him to tidying up. Jim, it's annoying him there, getting around the back.
Yeah, well, I think Sherry will be quite happy. He's managed to nullify a lot of Ben's work with some of that awkward stuff, and he'll probably continue to do that as long as he'll get away with it.
Well, the old days of the early stuff, 13 in the first and 8 in the second by Ben, are over now. But he has scored 44 knockdowns in his career. It's incredible, that. Oh, this is the old blasting Ben by the look of it.
Ben wants to step the pace up, but he doesn't want to become wild. Those were kind of swinging punches, not the punches we expect from him. But he is going to have to step the pace up, force this man into making some mistakes.
This Canadian, though, you know, he's not only shrewd, Jim, he's a bit durable too. He takes a fair shot.
Yeah, he's good at what he does, Reg. He knows how to mess people about. He's an intelligent thinking fighter. And he's certainly paying Ben lots of respect. He's not staying in the one spot for a second. As soon as Ben gets close, he's going right up against Ben, putting his chin over his shoulder. Ben's going to have to punch as he moves in. He can't let this fella see. Here he goes again. He can't allow Sherry to get close. He's going to have to punch as he moves in.
Well, Ben not a bit amused by that, and quite rightly, Larry O'Connell. Oh, there we go now. So you want it that way? All right, let's forget it. This is where you need a strong referee, and Larry O'Connell's been around. He's on the WBC world list. Around the world, he's refereed and judged. And of course, former boxer.
That was a good shot, Reg. Caught Sherry high. That was a nice punch. Ben just wants to show a little feint and draw some mistakes from him.
So they're often both throwing right hands at the same time, Jim. It's just a question of who connects first.
Well, I think Ben can certainly afford to trade with this fellow. But as soon as Ben allows him close up, he just wants to spoil.
Ooh, low punch there. Yep, quite rightly. Deserves a warning for that. That's the way to shoot the right hand over the top of the left lead. He did it well there.
Well, most of Ben's success has come from his right hand, so he wants to start favouring that now. He's got that few more inches to get the right hand in. Sherry's nullifying Ben's left hand work his jab, but the right hand is working.
Made great fuss about the size of the ring, the Canadian camp, and they had to dismantle it and put it back up again. It was 16 foot odd in inside measurement, but the management wouldn't go for it, so they made it 18 foot. But he's not really using it enough, skirting around the perimeters, Sherry, to have bothered to do all that, to hold the show star up. Oh, what a punch. Well, the right hand was always coming. He is not going to make that. Now, this fella's never been counted out in his life, but his legs are gone, and he stopped it in the third round. The perfect finish there by Nigel Benn. He took his time a little bit. There was always a bit of quality about his punching tonight, and they're invading the ring as they always do. And he deserves the plaudits, Ben, because that's one of the most complete professional jobs he's done. Because, Jim, this fellow takes a real good punch.
And that was a cracking punch there. That's the only kind of punches that Ben throws, is the good punches. He had a little bit more space with the right hand to get the punches home. Sherry was nullifying most of the left hand work, and there it went. Just missed his whisker a couple of times earlier, but that one was bang on the chin.
So the doctor's had a quick look at Dan Sherry. He can't have any objections this time, as he did last time. And the formal hand raising, of course, for the newspaper photographers more than anybody, that picture. 32nd win now, out of 34 fights for Nigel Benn. Assistant Peter de Freitas in the corner there, and everybody very delighted, and rightly so too, because that really puts Ben back in that world title picture. He needs to have a championship tag. Jim, let's have another look at this.
Yeah, well, Ben was very dangerous with the right hand all the way through. The first punch of the fight was a right hand, similar to that, not with the same power. But against one of the most difficult men in the game, to look good against, Nigel's managed it. That was a beautiful punch to finish with.
Went down his own, somebody had whipped the carpet from under his feet there, Jerry. He really knew he'd been tagged there with a dynamite punch. This fella can bang a bit, and I must say, in his old age, at 28, well, he's getting a bit of boxing ability and maturity and a bit of skill to go with it, and that's what you need at world level. Oh, and I tell you what, look at the size of those shoulders. He's got the body to go with it. Big night for Nigel Benn at Alexandra Palace. So with that celebration in the ring, Jim, we'll hand back to Jim Rosenthal and Barry McGuigan.
Thank you very much indeed, Reg and Jim Watt as well. Well, Barry McGuigan, you got it absolutely right. And I'll tell you what, for me, Nigel Benn is still the most exciting fighter in British boxing.
Certainly one of the most explosive punchers. Yeah, he certainly is one of the most exciting fighters we've had for many years. He is a great finisher, and that right hand just was like a bombshell. He set it up a bit. He could have set it up better with the left jab, but it made contact, and it could have happened a bit sooner if he'd used the jab. But what a puncher. Fabulous.
In his career, he's knocked over a lot of people early on. I mean, Mexican road sweepers, and he's described them as that. But this was a very controlled performance against a pretty useful opponent.
He's becoming more controlled all the time. That's what I like about him. And I like this more conservative style because he's got the power there. Any time, he's dangerous from the first round to the last round. He's a fabulous puncher. And he's a better fighter, I believe.
Good, Barry, thanks very much for the moment. Anyway, of course, we'll be hoping to have a word with Nigel Benn. We've got football action coming up for you as well. And we're back with that in a couple of minutes. Hello once again. We've had a tremendous performance from Nigel Benn. He stopped the Canadian Dan Sherry in great style in the third round, and Nigel Benn is now ready to have a word with Gary Newbon.
Nigel Benn, you got too much energy left. It finished too quickly.
Yeah, my mum's cooking. Hi, Mum. I've done it.
Right, that punch is the sort of punch that makes Nigel Benn so exciting.
Well, you know, I was trying to be very relaxed. I mean, if I come out there throwing, he would have just clung on to me. So I was just taking my time, trying to pick my shots. But you know, thank you. He's very hard to hit, a bit elusive. But I know when I tried to catch him downstairs, I could hear him go, and I heard him started breathing heavily, and I was taking my time. I just felt so relaxed.
Right. It happened very quickly. Take us through it.
Well, I was waiting for the right hand to land. I mean, I was trying to catch him all night, but he knew what he had to avoid, and he was doing it very good. But I know it was only a matter of time before I caught up with him.
You keep having different fights. You've had a tall guy, you've had a short guy, and this guy would have made it very difficult. He was a real spoiler, turning around.
Yeah, he was, you know, and I knew everyone was telling me he was going to do that, so I wasn't going to start pushing away and burning myself up. But in a minute, I'm just going to have a glass of sherry, and didn't that be good night?
Not time for jokes, this. That was a bad joke, that, but you fought very well tonight.
You've told a lot of bad jokes in your time, Gary.
Right, now, how aggrieved do you feel that Dan Sherry being promised a fight with Eubank if he beat you tonight by the promoter on the right here, Barry Hearn, and yet Eubank clearly does not want to fight you. He's made that clear to me as well.
Well, first of all I do, I feel very, very sorry for Eubanks at this present moment. I sincerely do, and I don't want to fight him, not until he gets his act together. I'm not saying it's his fault. I mean, you know.
Yes, but he gave you the chance. You gave him the chance to win the title, and now whatever's happening to him at the moment, he doesn't want to fight you.
Yeah, well, that's it. You know, he said, this is one thing I don't understand. He says he wants to, you know, make as much money as quick as possible and get the hell out of the game. Why is he having all these fights? We can have one fight with me, and then that's it. He either carries on, but if he fights me again, he knows he'll be a rich man. So I'm saying this to you, Chris. If you want a big payday, let's get it on. Let's give the British public what they want. It's one thing with me, that's what I like doing, pleasing the public, and so do you, so let's me and you get it on.
How frustrated are you, just before I move on to Barry, how frustrated are you that you're not fighting Eubank? You keep saying you're going for other titles, but this is the one you want, isn't it?
It's the one I want, you know, but the thing I want, I do want a title because I feel naked. And I gave Eubanks a shot, and I expect him to give me one back in return. Because the thing about it, I knew why I lost to Chris. He prepared like a champion. I didn't.
Well, you're a different man these days.
Yeah.
Can't criticise you tonight, so let's move on to Barry Hearn.
Makes a nice change.
Yeah, well, he was struggling a bit in sorting out the spoiling, but what a punch to finish it.
Well, that's box office punch, and that's what people come to see Nigel Benn and why they tune in live and exclusive on ITV. Yeah, all right, I admit it was very impressive, you know. But he's been a very relaxed character the last couple of months, and there's been all this, the X-rated violence is in there welling up underneath what is a very nice exterior.
You keep promising people like Sherry fights against Eubank. Why can't you promise Ben a fight with Eubank?
Well, yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, this is, you know, you're being used here by him.
Yeah, this is absolutely true. Like all good promoters, you know, we always use boxers, you know that.
What's the matter with opinion
One thing
about
I would
good
like to
promoters?
say, one thing I would like to say, he has got me a world title. That's all I wanted him to do, is to get me a world title, and that's what he's done.
We have a world title fan for Nigel, because the great thing about Nigel Benn now,
Well, tell us about it.
He can fight for any one of the four
world
divisions.
title?
The WBA would like him to
what
fight called
world title have you got for him?
Gary, you can't pressurise me into making an on-the-spot
Well, you can't make these claims in front of a live audience without telling us what it is.
Nigel Benn will
what is the
fight
fight?
for a world title.
Please tell us what the fight is.
30th of May.
We have 6 months. We have 6 months, and we will
Well,
get.
what are you
Nigel
aiming
Benn.
for?
We're aiming to put a belt around Nigel Benn.
Which one? There's 4 versions.
WBC,
The WBC is our favourite to go for. The WBO is possible because he's going to be ranked number one,
but
and Eubank's going to have to
But let me
fight
tell you
him.
this: you keep teasing us with the Eubank Ben return. We all want to see it.
Gary, I'm
When
going to
is it
tease
going to
you all
happen?
the time, because at the moment I like your style, but you don't pay enough to know. You're going to find out in time.
I tell you what, we played plenty for a 3-round fight tonight, but it was a great finish.
Plenty of value for money, though.
We got value with the finish, but not the rest of it. Thank you.
Well done, Gary.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, Barry Hearn and Nigel Benn ducking and diving. A few big punches from Gary Newbon there. But I think what comes through from Nigel Benn, it is a much more sort of controlled actor these days, Barry, isn't it? I think what happened probably to Michael Watson might have made him tone his whole act down.
I don't know that that is the case. I think he just found out himself that it's much better to set your opponents up rather than go in there trying to knock them out all the time. Even in this fight here, he tried to load up on his right hand. It took him, in my opinion, maybe around, it's hard to say that when they stopped in the 3rd round, but it took him around too long. If he'd have set it up with the left jab, the right hand would have come sooner, he would have landed sooner. But that's all coming, he's getting better. You know, as he gets older, he's becoming a more complete fighter. And the more sedate Nigel Benn, the better. And he's a very exciting prospect, and I have no doubt that he can win a version of the title.
But throughout the fight, Barry, Nigel Benn had great success with his right hand, and it came really as no surprise when he did finish it right in the final few seconds of that 3rd round.
Yeah, he just set it up. Look at the way that right hand landed. There was no left jab at all there. If you can see it again, you'll actually see that way that right. He didn't even pretend to throw the left. He just saw him coming, bang, little short right on the money. Fight's over.
It's a decent riposte, isn't it, to Dan Sherry, who came over here and described him, Nigel Benn, as chinny.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, you shouldn't put your foot in your mouth like that. But he's got a quality punch, Nigel Benn. He's definitely one of the biggest hitters in the middleweight or super middleweight division. And as we've seen by his weight tonight, he can make either division. So, you know, there's a lot ahead of this kid, and I think he can win another version of the title at super middleweight or drop back down to middleweight again.
The public will want to see that fight between him and Chris Eubank. Chris Eubank, my feeling is, needs a bit of a time to recover from what's happened to him over recent months. But do you think it might be a fight that just will never happen? Because the indication there is that Nigel is going to go for a world title, but a different world title.
Yes, he may very well go for another title. Remember that Iron Barkley, the fellow he knocked out in his first defence of his title, has now regained the super middleweight division. So he's another opponent he can go for. And he can go for that with success, and knowing that he's already knocked the champion out. He can go for the middleweight division. Nigel is looking very exciting, whereas Chris in his last fight looked a tired fighter, and he may need time to recover from that one. But yes, a very exciting prospect is Nigel Benn, and I think he's going to win the title again, no doubt.
I feel sure that, I agree with you on that one, but he is now talking as well about moving up through the weights, but this to me seems to be his best weight. He seems such a strong middleweight to me, whereas if he moves up and does a sort of Thomas Hearns, he might not be as effective.
Well, the difference with him and Thomas Hearns is Thomas Hearns is 6'2", he's 5'9½", and I think that that's as high as he can go. I think the super middleweight is certainly the highest he can go. He shouldn't go any higher.
Is he at his peak now, just quickly?
I think he is. I think this is we're seeing a better Nigel Benn. He's a better and more complete fighter, and I think he can regain the title.
Thanks very much indeed, Barry. I agree with you on that. Tremendous performance, that one, from Nigel Benn. Dan Sherry knocked out towards the end of the 3rd round.